Alien mother clutched her empty breast. My milk has dried up. Please save my baby. The starship Aurora glided silently through the black of space, its engines humming like a quiet heartbeat. Commander Elias Vega stood on the bridge, staring at the holographic map projected before him. A faint signal had been picked up from a distant, uncharted system, weak and irregular, but unmistakably sent with purpose. His brow furrowed. It was a distress call, the kind that made every human in the fleet stop and listen. "Commander," Lieutenant Mara said, her voice tight with urgency. "The signal is coming from a planet in the outer rim of the system. Life signs are very faint, but there are at least two. One adult, one infant." Elia's stomach clenched. "Set a course, full deceleration into orbit. We don't know what we're walking into, but someone needs help." The crew worked quickly, tension filling the bridge. The planet below was visible now through the viewport, a swirl of colors and shadows, its surface broken by jagged cliffs and storming clouds. Strange, bioluminescent plants glowed in faint patterns, giving the world an otherworldly, almost magical look. But the beauty did little to calm the crew. The storm currents in the atmosphere suggested danger. As the Aurora descended, the distress signal grew louder, more urgent. Elias felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Humanity had encountered many alien species, but the thought of an infant in danger stirred something primal inside him. He had children of his own, and the thought of one struggling to survive in a harsh, alien world made his chest ache. "Preparing landing party, Doctor." Kiera Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, announced. Her eyes, sharp and bright behind her glasses, reflected both curiosity and concern. "We need to be careful. We don't know this species' biology or behavior. One wrong move could make things worse." Elias nodded. "Understood. We'll move slow and stay alert. Take medkits, sensors, and life support packs. Let's save whoever is out there." The landing shuttle dropped through the clouds, buffeted by violent winds that rattled its frame. Outside, the planet's surface was a chaotic mixture of jagged rocks and glowing vegetation. Strange mist swirled around the cliffs, carrying the scent of alien flora, sharp and sweet at once. When the shuttle touched down, the crew stepped out carefully, their boots crunching on brittle ground. The air was breathable, but the storm still lashed at them. The glow of the plants cast long, wavering shadows, making the landscape appear alive. And then they saw her. A single alien figure knelt on the rocky ground, trembling. Her body was covered in soft, luminescent patches that pulsed faintly in time with her heartbeat. She had 4 limbs like a quadruped, but her face was almost human-like, with large, expressive eyes that glimmered with fear and desperation. In her arms was a tiny, fragile infant, its body almost translucent and trembling with every breath. The alien mother raised her head as the humans approached. Through a strange, pulsing energy field, Elias felt her emotions almost like a thought echoing in his mind. "My milk has dried up. Please save my baby." Elias stepped forward slowly, hands raised. "We're here to help," he said softly. "We won't hurt you or your child." The mother tilted her head, studying him with wide, glowing eyes. Her gaze was filled with raw fear and hope at the same time. She extended a thin, trembling limb toward the baby, and the child whimpered softly. Dr. Chen knelt beside the mother, scanning the infant with a portable biometer. "The child is weak," she said quietly. "Very weak. If we don't act quickly, it might not survive the night." Elias' jaw tightened. "Then we act, now." The team set up a temporary medical station, shielding it as best as they could from the storm. Sensors and machines whirred to life, monitoring vital signs, analyzing body chemistry, and assessing the alien physiology. "Doctor." Chen's eyes were glued to the readings, adjusting formulas and scanning the mother for nutritional deficiencies. "This species' milk production is failing," Kiera explained. "Environmental toxins combined with stress and malnutrition have shut down the mother's lactation glands. The child won't survive without nourishment." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we find another way to feed it." He watched as the alien mother's glowing eyes filled with tears. She reached toward the humans, not in aggression, but in pleading. "Please, my baby. Save my baby." Dr. Chen worked frantically, mixing compounds and testing formulas, her fingers moving with precision. "We can try a synthetic nutrient blend," she said. "It may sustain the child temporarily, but it's delicate work. One mistake and—" Her voice trailed off, the unspoken truth hanging in the air. The mother leaned closer to the infant, her body trembling as she tried to soothe the child. The faint light in her skin flickered with every emotion: fear, hope, desperation, and love. Elias realized that no advanced technology, no matter how sophisticated, could replace that bond. Humans had tools, knowledge, and ingenuity, but it was empathy that truly made a difference. As the first doses of synthetic milk were prepared, the team fed the infant carefully. It whimpered at first, tiny limbs flailing weakly, but gradually began to suckle, drawing the sustenance it so desperately needed. The mother's relief was palpable, her glow brightening slightly, almost as if the human effort had breathed life into her. But the storm outside showed no mercy. A violent gust tore across the plateau, rattling the medical station and sending equipment sliding. Elias lunged to stabilize the monitors, while Kiera shielded the infant. The alien mother cried out in a low, resonant tone, as if warning the humans of unseen dangers. Elias realized that saving the child wasn't just a matter of medicine, it was survival. The planet itself was hostile, fragile, and unpredictable. Every human instinct was tested: courage, quick thinking, teamwork. They couldn't just focus on formulas and machines, they had to adapt, to move with the planet instead of against it. Hours passed. The infant grew stronger with every feeding, its tiny body no longer trembling as violently. The mother's glow stabilized, her tears fading into soft pulses of light. Elias allowed himself a small breath of relief. They had survived the first night. Still, the planet was unpredictable. The bioluminescent plants swayed in unnatural patterns, hinting at deeper dangers. Storms were frequent here, and the soil seemed to shift underfoot. Every step had to be calculated, every decision critical. Through it all, the alien mother remained close to her child, her gaze shifting often toward the humans, studying them as much as they studied her. Trust was being built, slowly but unmistakably. She had come to rely on these strangers, and in return the humans had come to care. Elias found himself thinking about the fragility of life, the universality of parenthood, and the courage it took to protect the young, no matter the species. Night fell over the storm-tossed plateau, but inside the makeshift lab there was a fragile warmth. The baby slept in its mother's embrace, breathing steadily. The humans sat around, exhausted but alert, scanning the skies for any further signs of danger. Elias leaned back against a console, rubbing his face. "We've done well tonight," he said quietly. "But this is just the beginning. We need to understand this planet, the toxins affecting the mother, and how to keep the infant alive long enough to thrive. That's our mission now." Dr. Chen nodded. "And if we succeed, Commander, we won't just be saving one life. We'll be proving something bigger, that humanity can make a difference, even in the most alien of worlds." Elias looked down at the mother and child. Her eyes met his, glowing softly with gratitude and hope. No words were spoken, but the connection was undeniable. Here was a life hanging in the balance, and humanity had reached out across the stars to save it. As the storm raged outside, the humans and aliens held together in fragile harmony, united by a single goal: survival, care, and hope. The night was long, the challenges immense, but the first victory had been won. For Elias and his crew, for the mother and her child, the universe had just grown a little smaller and a little brighter. And somewhere deep inside, Elias knew that what they had started tonight would ripple far beyond this lonely planet. Humans could be explorers, warriors, scientists, but above all, they could be protectors, guardians of life in a universe that often forgot the value of compassion. The sun rose slowly over the jagged cliffs of the alien planet, casting long shadows over the glowing vegetation. The storm from the previous night had left deep tracks in the soil, twisted plants, and fractured rock, but the temporary medical station remained intact. Commander Elias Vega stood outside, surveying the landscape with careful eyes. The alien mother and her child slept inside, and for the first time the human crew felt a fragile sense of peace. Dr. Kiera Chen approached, holding a small scanner in her hands. "The infant is stable for now," she said, her voice calm but precise. "But we need to figure out how to maintain its nutrition long-term. The synthetic formula we made will only last a few days before we risk depleting our supplies." Elias nodded. "We need a permanent solution. Either we restore the mother's natural milk production or find a sustainable alternative on this planet." The mother stirred inside the lab, blinking her large, glowing eyes. She looked at the humans with a mixture of gratitude and worry, as if sensing that they were speaking about her child. She extended a thin limb toward the baby, who responded with a weak whimper. Elias could feel her fear radiating like a wave, almost tangible. He stepped closer. "We're going to help her, Commander," Kiera said. "We just need time." Elias took a deep breath. Time is exactly what we might not have. That storm last night nearly destroyed everything. If the planet's conditions worsen, we could be in serious trouble. Inside the lab, the alien mother cradled her child, her glowing patches flickering in response to her emotions. The baby's fragile form stirred as if sensing the human's presence. Dr. Chen adjusted the sensors on the infant, carefully monitoring its vitals. "The baby's digestive system is delicate," she explained. "Even slight changes in the formula could cause complications. I need to learn more about the local flora to see if there's anything here that could help the mother produce milk naturally." Elias' eyes scanned the terrain outside. Strange plants swayed in the gentle morning breeze, their luminescent tips flickering softly. He turned to the mother. "Do you know these plants? Can they help?" The alien mother's glowing eyes widened as she looked at the strange vegetation. She emitted a series of low, musical tones, almost like a song. Elias and Kiera listened carefully. The tones resonated with the scanners, producing an unexpected pattern. It was as if she was pointing them toward something important. "She's guiding us," Kiera said in awe. "We need to follow her directions carefully." Elias nodded. "All right, we'll send a small team to gather samples. Kiera, you lead, I'll take the perimeter." The humans set out across the rocky terrain, following the alien mother's subtle gestures and sounds. The planet was alive with energy, strange plants swaying as if aware of their presence. Kiera carefully collected samples of glowing leaves, vines, and small flowering plants, analyzing each for potential nutritional or medicinal properties. Hours passed, and the storm clouds began to gather again. The wind picked up, carrying a sharp tang that made the humans' eyes water. Elias' heart tightened as he glanced back toward the lab. The mother and child were still safe, but the worsening weather reminded him that time was slipping away. As the humans worked, Kiera's scanner beeped. "This plant," she said, holding up a small vine with translucent leaves, "has properties similar to the compounds in the mother's milk. If we can extract it properly, it might stimulate her glands and restore lactation temporarily." Elias nodded. "Then we bring it back, fast." The return journey was perilous. The storm intensified, winds howling like angry spirits through the jagged cliffs. The glowing plants bent under the force, some snapping and falling to the ground. Elias led the humans carefully, signaling them to avoid unstable ground. A misstep could mean injury or worse. Finally, they reached the lab, soaked and exhausted. Kiera immediately began processing the plant, using a portable synthesizer to extract the necessary compounds. The alien mother watched with anticipation, her glowing patches pulsing faster with every passing second. "Keep it steady," Elias said, placing a reassuring hand on Kiera's shoulder. "We can't afford mistakes." Minutes felt like hours as Kiera worked. She mixed, heated, and filtered, carefully adjusting concentrations while monitoring the infant's vitals. Finally, she held up a small vial of shimmering liquid. "This should do it," she said, her voice trembling with hope and relief. The alien mother reached for the vial, taking it gently with her limb. She consumed it carefully, her glowing patches flickering with intensity. Almost immediately, Elias could see the change. Her body shifted slightly, and after a tense moment, a soft pulse ran through her chest, a sign that her lactation glands had begun working again. The infant stirred, sensing the change. With trembling limbs, it nuzzled against its mother and began to feed. A wave of relief washed over the humans. They had succeeded. For now, life had won. But the planet had other plans. The storm outside raged, growing in intensity. Winds tore at the lab's walls, and the glowing plants outside bent violently under the force. Elias' stomach tightened. "We need to secure the station," he shouted over the roar. "All hands, stabilize the equipment and protect the infant." The crew sprang into action, bolting down machines, reinforcing walls with emergency panels, and using energy shields to keep the infant safe. Kiera held the mother's limb gently, encouraging her to stay close while the storm passed. The mother emitted low, rhythmic tones, calming her child as much as she could. Through the chaos, Elias saw something remarkable. The mother moved with precision and intelligence, guiding the humans to safer spots, pointing out hazards they might have missed. Her understanding of the terrain was instinctive but perfect. The humans, in turn, adjusted their actions, learning from her as much as she had learned from them. The storm raged through the night, but the bond between humans and aliens strengthened. They were no longer strangers. Together, they were a single unit, fighting for the survival of one small life in a hostile universe. By dawn, the storm had subsided, leaving the lab battered but intact. The mother and child were safe, and the humans were exhausted but triumphant. Kiera checked the infant's vitals again, her eyes bright with satisfaction. The baby's strong, much stronger than last night. Elias smiled, though fatigue weighed on him. We did well, he said quietly, but this planet is unpredictable. We can't just survive, we need a long-term plan. The alien mother looked at Elias, her glowing eyes reflecting gratitude, trust, and something else, a spark of hope. Through the telepathic connection, Elias sensed her thoughts. You saved my child. I owe you more than words can say. He nodded silently. We'll stay with you as long as we're needed, no matter what. Over the next few hours, the humans continued to work, reinforcing the lab and exploring nearby areas for resources. Kiera analyzed plant samples, documenting properties that could help both mother and child. Elias and the landing party scouted the surrounding cliffs, mapping safe routes and noting areas where shelter could be built if the storm returned. The alien mother remained close to her child, her glow steady and soft. For the first time, she allowed herself to relax, trusting the humans completely. She communicated in soft, musical tones, which the humans gradually began to understand. The bond was not just of necessity, it was growing into something deeper, a shared connection that transcended species. Elias watched this silently. Humanity's strength, he realized, was not just in technology or weapons. It was in empathy, in courage, in the ability to see value in every life, no matter how alien. He had seen humans fight wars, explore stars, and build civilizations. But this small act of compassion, this willingness to protect and nurture, felt like the truest example of what made humans extraordinary. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the storm-tossed landscape, the baby slept soundly in its mother's arms. The humans gathered outside the lab, tired but determined, sharing quiet words and small smiles. The planet was still harsh and unpredictable, but hope had taken root. Elias knew that the coming days would bring new challenges, more storms, unknown creatures, environmental hazards, and the delicate task of helping the mother produce milk consistently. But for now, they had survived, they had learned, and most importantly, they had saved a life. The alien mother reached out toward Elias, her glow pulsing rhythmically. He extended his hand, and for the briefest moment, the barrier between human and alien disappeared. In that instant, he understood something profound. Compassion, courage, and ingenuity were not limited by species. They were universal traits capable of bridging any divide. And on this distant, storm-tossed world, humanity's light shone brightly, not as conquerors or invaders, but as guardians. They had answered a call for help, faced danger without hesitation, and proved that even in the vast, indifferent universe, life could be cherished, protected, and celebrated. The night came, quiet for the first time since their arrival. The mother and child slept, the humans rested, and somewhere deep in the planet's core, the faint hum of life continued. The first victory was behind them, and a longer, more challenging journey lay ahead. But Elias felt confident. Humanity had arrived, not to dominate, but to care. And that, he realized, was the greatest strength of all. The following morning, the alien world seemed quieter, but the calm was deceptive. The storm from the night before had left the land scarred, and the humans knew that danger could return without warning. Commander Elias Vega stood near the edge of the plateau, scanning the horizon. The wind whispered through the jagged cliffs, carrying the faint scent of the glowing plants, but something in the atmosphere made him uneasy. Dr. Kiera Chen approached with a small tray of equipment. The infant is improving, she said. Its vitals are stronger, and it's responding well to the mother's milk again. But the mother is still weak. If we want her to continue producing, she needs more than our synthetic help. We need a sustainable source of nutrients from the planet itself. Elias nodded, his eyes never leaving the horizon. Then we explore. We need to find what she can safely eat, what will strengthen her for the long term, and we do it before the next storm. The alien mother stirred inside the lab, her glowing eyes flickering with concern as she looked toward the humans. She emitted a series of low, melodic tones. Elias felt the rhythm resonate inside his chest. It was a kind of guidance, subtle but unmistakable. She wanted them to follow her instincts, to trust her understanding of the planet. Kiara held the infant gently while Elias addressed the landing party. "We move carefully, take medkits, sensors, and protective gear. Follow her directions, but stay alert. We can't assume anything about this terrain. It's unfamiliar and unpredictable." The team moved out, guided by the alien mother's instincts. Her glowing limbs traced subtle paths across the cliffs, pointing out safe routes and hazards. Strange plants shimmered under their feet, some bending away as if aware of their passage. Elias marveled at the coordination. The humans were learning from the alien, adapting to her understanding of the environment. Hours passed as they searched. Kiara scanned every plant, testing for nutrients and medicinal properties. Many were beautiful but useless, and some were harmful. Elias kept watch for predators, for unstable ground, and for any sudden changes in the weather. The planet was alive in ways they could not predict. Finally, Kiara paused. "This plant," she said, holding a vine with translucent, luminescent leaves, "contains compounds similar to what stimulates the mother's milk production. If we can harvest it safely, it could help her sustain herself and feed the infant." Elias nodded. "Then we gather it, but carefully. The terrain is unstable and the storm could return at any time." As they worked, the first signs of a new storm appeared. Dark clouds swirled over the cliffs, lightning flickering faintly in the distance. The wind picked up, carrying a sharp tang that made their eyes water. Elias signaled the team to move quickly but cautiously. Suddenly, a crack ran through the rocky ground beneath them. Elias grabbed the nearest team member, yanking them back just as a small section of the cliff collapsed. Rocks tumbled down into the chasm below. Heart pounding, Elias realized how fragile the planet's surface had become after the previous storm. Every step was dangerous. The alien mother's instincts guided them again. She emitted rhythmic tones, and Elias followed the patterns in her glow. They moved as she suggested, avoiding unstable areas and reaching safer ground. Her intelligence was astonishing. She seemed to understand the planet on a level the humans could not. After several tense hours, they gathered enough of the nutrient-rich plants to support the mother and her infant. Kiara carefully packed the samples while Elias scanned the surroundings for additional hazards. The storm was approaching faster than they anticipated, and the winds were growing violent. They began the journey back to the lab, moving carefully along the narrow cliff paths. The wind tore at their clothing and equipment, and the glowing plants bent violently under the force. A misstep could be fatal. Elias led the way, signaling the team to slow down and maintain balance. Suddenly, a portion of the cliff gave way beneath one of the crew members. Elias lunged, catching them just in time. The team held on to each other, working together to stabilize their footing. It was a harrowing moment, but it reminded them of the importance of trust and teamwork. By the time they returned to the lab, drenched and exhausted, the storm was overhead. Lightning streaked across the sky, and rain began to pour, hammering the roof of the station. Inside, the alien mother and infant waited. The mother's glow pulsed rapidly with worry as she watched the humans approach. Kiara immediately set to work preparing the plant extract. She combined it with the small portion of synthetic formula they had left, creating a compound designed to restore the mother's strength and stimulate milk production. The alien mother watched every movement, her large eyes reflecting hope and anxiety. When Kiara offered the mixture, the mother consumed it carefully. Elias held his breath, watching for any signs of distress. Slowly, the mother's glow stabilized, and after a tense moment, she moved to feed the infant. The baby's tiny body responded immediately, sucking with more strength and vigor than before. Relief washed over the humans, for now life had been saved again. But the planet was far from safe. The storm outside grew more intense, the winds howling like angry spirits. Elias knew they needed to reinforce the lab, secure the infant, and ensure that the mother could continue feeding without interruption. The humans worked tirelessly, using energy shields, temporary supports, and all available resources to protect their fragile charges. The alien mother emitted soft, rhythmic tones as if acknowledging their efforts. Elias realized she was communicating gratitude and trust, emotions that transcended words. The connection between species had grown stronger, forged in shared danger and mutual care. Hours passed. The storm raged outside, but inside the lab a fragile harmony prevailed. The infant slept peacefully in the mother's arms, her glowing body providing warmth and comfort. The humans, though exhausted, remained vigilant, monitoring vitals and reinforcing the station where possible. Elias reflected on the events of the day. Humanity had faced countless challenges across the stars, but none felt as personal as this. Saving a single life, protecting a mother and child in an alien world, was more than an act of compassion. It was proof that human ingenuity, courage, and empathy could make a difference anywhere in the universe. The night dragged on, long and tense, but eventually the storm subsided. The alien mother and infant were safe, and the humans allowed themselves a moment of rest. Elias looked out over the plateau, the glow of the plants shimmering softly under the now calm sky. The planet was still harsh, but hope had taken root. Kiara checked the infant one last time before closing her scanner. "The baby is strong," she said softly. "Stronger than I expected. If we can continue providing support and safe nourishment, it will thrive." Elias nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Then we do that. No matter what this planet throws at us, we'll protect them. That's what we do." The alien mother's glow pulsed gently in response. Elias could feel the connection between them, a silent understanding that they were united by a common goal: survival, care, and the protection of life. As the first light of a new day touched the cliffs, the humans began planning their next steps. They needed to explore further to understand the planet's resources, to ensure that the mother could feed her child long-term. But for now, they had achieved something remarkable. They had entered an alien world as strangers, faced danger and uncertainty, and emerged as guardians of life. Humanity's presence here was not that of conquerors or invaders, but as protectors, capable of bringing hope and survival to even the most fragile of beings. Elias allowed himself a rare moment of pride. Humans were clever, resourceful, and brave, but more than that, they were capable of compassion that spanned the stars. And in this small, glowing world, that compassion had saved a life. As the sun climbed higher, the alien mother cradled her child, her glow steady and bright. The infant's small limbs stretched in contentment, and Elias knew that the fight for survival was far from over. Yet he felt certain of one thing: as long as humans were willing to act with courage, empathy, and ingenuity, life, even in the most hostile corners of the galaxy, could endure. The journey ahead would be difficult. More storms, unknown creatures, and environmental hazards awaited. But humanity had already proven that it could face the impossible and triumph. And on this distant planet, amidst glowing plants and jagged cliffs, a mother and her child lived to see another day, thanks to the humans who chose to care, protect, and never give up. The wind had finally calmed, but the scars left by the storm were still visible across the alien landscape. Fallen plants littered the ground, and loose rocks made every step dangerous. Commander Elias Vega stood at the edge of the plateau, surveying the area. The alien mother and her infant remained inside the lab, safe for now, but Elias knew that temporary safety would not be enough. The mother needed a permanent solution to regain her strength, and the infant needed a consistent source of nourishment. "Doctor." Kiara Chen adjusted her scanner. "The plant extract we gathered yesterday is helping, but it's only a short-term solution," she said. "If the mother doesn't get natural nourishment soon, her milk production will fail again. We need to find something that can sustain her long-term." Elias nodded, thinking. The planet was dangerous, but it was also alive with resources. The alien mother had already shown them paths and plants that humans could not detect on their own. She knew the land instinctively, and Elias realized that any long-term solution would require both human ingenuity and her guidance. The mother began to emit low, rhythmic tones, her glowing patches pulsing in patterns that were almost like a map. Elias and Kiara watched closely. She was pointing them toward another area, one that seemed farther and more dangerous than anything they had explored before. "We follow her," Elias said. "She knows what she's doing and we need her instincts, but we stay careful. One misstep and we could lose everything." The humans prepared for the journey. They packed medkits, portable sensors, and climbing equipment. The storm had left many areas unstable, and they needed to be ready for anything. The alien mother stayed close, guiding their movements with subtle gestures and tones. Her trust in them was evident, and in turn the humans had come to respect her knowledge and intelligence. As they moved, the terrain became more treacherous. Jagged cliffs rose sharply, and deep chasms threatened to swallow them if they misstepped. Elias led the way, his eyes scanning constantly for danger. The humans had learned to move with care, but even the most cautious steps were met with surprises. Suddenly, a section of the cliff crumbled beneath their feet. Elias grabbed Kiara's arm and pulled her back just in time. Rocks tumbled into the abyss below, and the team froze for a moment, hearts pounding. The alien mother's glow pulsed rapidly, a warning that danger was near. Elias took a deep breath. "We continue, but slower. Stay alert." The alien mother led them to a narrow pathway lined with strange, glowing flora. Some plants seemed to sense their approach, bending away from their path. Kiara scanned each specimen, looking for anything that could provide nutrients for the mother. Many were harmless, but a few contained compounds that could be combined to form a more permanent solution. Hours passed as they carefully collected the plants. The alien mother remained close to the infant, which Kiara had brought along in a specially designed carrier. The child's glow pulsed faintly, a sign of its growing strength. Elias could see that the bond between mother and child was deep, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Protecting this family was no longer just a mission. It was a responsibility that he and his crew had chosen. As they reached the top of a cliff, the storm returned, though less intense than before. Dark clouds swirled overhead, and the wind howled, carrying the scent of alien vegetation and ozone. Elias signaled the team to take shelter. They found a small cave, partially shielded by rock formations, and set up a temporary station. Kiara began processing the plants, carefully extracting compounds that could stimulate the mother's milk production and provide essential nutrients. Elias monitored the surroundings, scanning for predators or sudden changes in the environment. The alien mother watched intently, her glow pulsing in response to every movement. She seemed to understand the process, and Elias realized that her intelligence was not just instinctive, it was cooperative. She was helping them even without words. After hours of careful work, Kiara prepared a new mixture. The alien mother consumed it slowly, and Elias watched as her glow stabilized. Within moments, the mother's body began producing milk again, stronger than before. The infant stirred and nuzzled against her, drinking with vigor. Relief washed over the humans. For the first time, they could see a path toward a sustainable solution. But the planet was far from done testing them. The storm intensified outside, lightning striking distant cliffs, shaking the ground. Elias knew they could not remain in the cave forever. They needed to return to the lab, carry the new plant supplies, and reinforce the mother's feeding system. The journey back was perilous. Loose rocks, steep cliffs, and sudden gusts of wind made each step a challenge. Elias led the team, signaling them to move slowly and stay close. The alien mother's guidance was crucial, her instincts helping them navigate paths that would have been impossible to find alone. At one point, a sudden wind tore a plant from the cliffside, sending it tumbling toward Kiara. Elias lunged, catching it just in time. The team exchanged tense looks, understanding that every moment on this planet required focus, teamwork, and courage. Finally, they reached the lab. The alien mother moved quickly to her child, feeding it with renewed strength. Kiara carefully prepared the new compounds, ensuring the mother received a balanced mix of nutrients. The infant's glow pulsed stronger with each feeding, a sign that their efforts were succeeding. Elias allowed himself a moment of pride. The team had faced danger, adapted to an alien environment, and protected a fragile life. But he knew that the planet remained unpredictable. They needed to continue exploring, learning, and supporting the mother if they wanted long-term success. Over the next few days, the humans worked tirelessly. They mapped safe areas, collected more plant samples, and reinforced the lab against storms. The alien mother guided them, her instincts and intelligence proving invaluable. Slowly, a routine emerged. The mother fed the infant, rested, and allowed the humans to care for her and the child when necessary. The bond between species grew stronger with each passing day. Elias reflected on the mission. Humanity's strength was not just in technology or weapons. It was in empathy, courage, and ingenuity. They had crossed the stars to protect life, and in doing so, they had proven that humans could be more than explorers or conquerors. They could be guardians, capable of bridging gaps between worlds and species. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the cliffs, Elias watched the mother and child. The infant's glow pulsed steadily as it slept, cradled in its mother's arms. The mother's luminescence was calm and strong, a testament to the human's careful efforts and her own resilience. Kiara joined him, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the alien plants. "We've done well," she said quietly. "The mother is stable, the infant is thriving, and the planet's resources are enough to sustain them for now." Elias nodded. "But we can't be complacent. The planet is alive and unpredictable. Every day brings new challenges. Our mission isn't over." The alien mother approached, her glowing eyes meeting Elias's. For the first time, there were no tones or gestures needed. The connection was complete. Elias could feel her gratitude, trust, and hope. It was a silent understanding that they were united in purpose, working together to protect life in a universe that often seemed indifferent. Over the following days, the humans continued to explore the surrounding terrain. They discovered areas rich in nutrients, safe water sources, and more plant species that could support the mother and infant. The alien mother guided them with uncanny precision, and the humans learned to trust her instincts completely. Every discovery strengthened the bond between species and proved that cooperation, courage, and empathy could overcome even the harshest challenges. One day, while exploring a particularly treacherous cliffside, Elias noticed a series of strange formations in the rocks. They were natural shelters, shaped by wind and erosion but perfectly suited to provide protection from storms. He signaled the team to investigate. The alien mother's glow intensified, almost as if she approved. "We can use these shelters to reinforce the lab," Elias said. "It'll give the mother and infant a safe place even if the storms return." The team worked quickly, moving equipment and plant supplies to the new location. The alien mother stayed close to the infant, her glow steady and reassuring. Kiara prepared new plant compounds, ensuring that the mother's milk production remained strong. The infant fed eagerly, its body glowing with vitality. Elias stood back, observing the scene. Humanity had arrived on this planet as strangers, faced danger and uncertainty, and emerged as guardians of life. They had proven that courage, ingenuity, and empathy could bridge any divide. The alien mother and infant were safe, stronger than they had been, and the humans had earned a place of trust in their world. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the cliffs, Elias allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The challenges ahead would be many: storms, environmental hazards, and unknown creatures. But humanity had already shown that it could face the impossible and succeed. And on this distant planet, amidst glowing plants and jagged cliffs, a mother and her child thrived, protected by humans who chose to act with courage, intelligence, and unwavering compassion. The planet's twin moons hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow across the jagged cliffs. The wind had finally calmed, leaving only the soft hum of alien flora and the distant trickle of hidden streams. Commander Elias Vega stood at the edge of the plateau, watching the alien mother and her infant play in the glow of bioluminescent plants. Their fragile forms, once trembling and weak, now radiated life and vitality. Dr. Kiara Chen joined him, her scanner in hand. "The mother is stable and the infant's growth is remarkable," she said. "If we maintain the feeding routine and continue using the plant supplements, they'll thrive long-term." Elias nodded, but his mind was already planning the next step. The planet had tested them repeatedly: storms, unstable terrain, and unpredictable hazards. Protecting a single life was only part of the challenge. They needed a sustainable strategy to ensure the mother and child could survive on their own, even after the humans eventually left. Inside the lab, the alien mother's glowing eyes tracked the humans' movements. She emitted soft, rhythmic tones, communicating without words. Elias could sense her trust and gratitude, but also a deeper intelligence. She was not just a passive participant, she was an active partner in survival. Kiara examined the latest batch of plant extracts. "These compounds stimulate the mother's milk production and provide essential nutrients, but we need to teach her which plants are safe and which aren't. If she can gather her own food, she won't depend on us indefinitely." Elias glanced at the mother, who seemed to understand immediately. Her glow pulsed with comprehension, and she emitted a series of tones that resonated in the humans' minds. Elias smiled. Humanity had faced countless alien species, but never one capable of such precise, cooperative communication. The next morning, the humans began training the mother to identify the right plants. Elias led the team while the mother and infant followed. She learned quickly, guided by the humans' subtle instructions and her own instincts. Kiera monitored her progress, adjusting plant combinations to ensure optimal nutrition. The infant followed closely, occasionally reaching toward glowing leaves with curiosity. Elias marveled at the teamwork forming between species. The mother was intelligent, resourceful, and adaptable, and the humans had taught her to survive in a world that had once threatened her child's life. This was humanity at its best, using knowledge, courage, and empathy to uplift others, even when they were not human. But the planet still held challenges. While exploring a nearby valley, the team encountered a sudden quake. Rocks tumbled from the cliffs and a low rumble shook the ground. Elias yelled, "Move back! Stay together!" The alien mother guided the humans to safety, her instincts flawless. She nudged the infant toward a sheltered nook, ensuring its safety while Elias and the team secured equipment. The quake passed, leaving them shaken but unharmed. Elias realized that this world was alive in ways they could not predict, and survival required constant vigilance. As the days passed, the humans and the alien mother developed a routine. The mother gathered plants, the humans assisted when needed, and the infant thrived on a combination of natural and supplemental nutrition. The bond between species had grown stronger than Elias could have imagined. Trust, cooperation, and mutual care had become their language. One evening, while the team was resting, Kiera noticed a faint, glowing structure in the distance, partially hidden by cliffs and mist. "That looks like a natural reservoir," she said. "If we can reach it, we could establish a permanent water source for the mother and infant. That would make their survival much easier." Elias agreed. "We'll make it our next priority. This planet is harsh, but with the right resources, the mother and child can thrive without constant human intervention." The following day, they set out toward the reservoir. The journey was challenging. Narrow paths, slippery rocks, and strange, unfamiliar plants along the cliffs. Yet the alien mother navigated the terrain with ease, guiding the humans safely. The infant, carried carefully by Kiera, watched with wide, glowing eyes, occasionally reaching toward patches of soft moss or glowing leaves. When they reached the reservoir, Elias and Kiera were amazed. The water was clear, teeming with strange but harmless microorganisms, and surrounded by nutrient-rich plants. It was an ideal location for the mother to gather food and water safely. Elias set up a small, temporary structure to protect the area from storms and falling debris. The alien mother approached the water, her glow reflecting in the rippling surface. She dipped her limbs, tasting and testing the water, then guided the humans in gathering plants nearby. Within hours, they had established a reliable system for the mother and infant to survive independently. Elias looked at the mother, then at the infant. "We've done it," he said quietly. "They have everything they need. They'll thrive even after we leave." The alien mother's glow intensified, pulsing in rapid, joyful patterns. She emitted a series of tones, almost like laughter, as if acknowledging the humans' efforts and celebrating their success. Elias felt a rush of pride. Humanity had not conquered, but had cooperated, learned, and protected. They had proven that intelligence, courage, and compassion could transcend species. Over the next few days, the humans prepared to leave. They reinforced the reservoir, ensured the mother knew which plants were safe, and established simple shelters for protection against storms. Kiera documented the entire process, noting every plant species, every nutrient, and every precaution. The alien mother observed closely, absorbing all the information, ready to care for her child independently. On the final morning, the team gathered at the plateau's edge. The infant nuzzled against its mother, glowing softly in the early light. The mother turned to Elias, her eyes bright and filled with understanding. Elias extended his hand, and she touched it gently with her limb. There was no need for words. Gratitude, trust, and hope passed silently between them. Elias addressed his team. "We've accomplished something remarkable. We've saved a life, taught another to survive, and proven that humanity can make a difference without dominating or destroying. This is what we do best." The humans prepared the shuttle for departure. The alien mother guided them to safe landing paths, her instincts flawless. She and the infant remained calm, confident in their newfound independence. Elias felt a deep sense of satisfaction. They had come to a hostile world as strangers and left as guardians of life. As the shuttle rose above the plateau, Elias looked down at the alien mother and child. The glowing infant reached toward the humans, a tiny hand extended in curiosity and recognition. The mother's glow pulsed with joy and strength. Elias realized that this small life represented something far greater: hope, resilience, and the proof that humanity could shine even in the darkest corners of the universe. Dr. Kiara Chen leaned against the shuttle console. "Do you think they'll be okay without us?" she asked softly. Elias smiled. "Yes, they've learned everything they need to survive, and they'll remember us just as we'll remember them. This is what exploration, courage, and compassion are for, helping life endure no matter where it exists." The planet receded beneath them, a tapestry of glowing plants, jagged cliffs, and winding rivers. The storm-scarred landscape had been tamed, not by force, but by understanding, ingenuity, and care. Humanity's presence had not dominated, it had uplifted. Elias watched as the alien mother and infant disappeared into the glow of the valley. He knew their journey together had changed him and his crew. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and alien complexity, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The universe was vast and often indifferent, but humans had proven that even in the smallest acts of care, life could flourish. As the shuttle entered orbit, the first star of the distant system twinkled in the sky. Elias felt a sense of wonder. Humanity had crossed the stars not to conquer, but to protect. They had bridged the gap between species and shown that courage, empathy, and intelligence were universal. The alien mother and infant were safe. Their future was secure. And somewhere deep in the universe, a new story of survival, trust, and cooperation had begun, a story in which humans had played a vital role. Elias leaned back, watching the planet shrink below. He knew that the galaxy held countless challenges, countless fragile lives in need of protection. But he also knew this: humanity's strength was not in weapons or technology alone. It was in courage, empathy, and the determination to do what was right, no matter the odds. And on this distant, glowing world, a mother and her child thrived, proof that even in the most alien corners of existence, humanity could shine brightly. The shuttle's engines hummed, carrying the humans toward the stars. But Elias knew that the lessons learned here, the value of life, the power of cooperation, the strength of empathy, would travel with them wherever they went. The universe was vast, but humanity's light, guided by courage and compassion, would continue to touch the lives of countless beings yet to be discovered. And so, as the alien mother cradled her infant under the twin moons, she glowed with life, strength, and hope. Humanity had left its mark, not through domination or violence, but through care, ingenuity, and the unwavering belief that every life mattered. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but humanity's journey and its mission to protect and uplift life was far,